There we go. All right, so today's task is going to be working with the trig stuff. That's not going to be not going to be too big of an issue because you should know all these, but let's put an M by the ones that need to be memorized. That guy, for sure. I feel like this mouthpiece is like in my mouth. All right, this one for sure. This one's a memory for sure. And then this one's not because it's a co-function. So it might pop up on a worksheet here and there, but definitely not on a test, 100% not on the AP test. This one needs to be memorized, and this one's not. But before we move to the trig ones, I want to make sure you guys can do what I would call like a level 2 problem, like from yesterday's homework. So we're going to kind of mosey through some of these examples. If you can prove to me you got these down, we'll do maybe 2. Otherwise, we'll do more. We're going to head over to number 12. And you guys can go ahead and talk me through number 12 and go ahead and begin. I know. We have a visitor. Hi, Mr. D. Merry Christmas. I'm recording, so I know. I know. Oh, boy, no. You don't know the hassle it was trying to get started. It actually was. I was having technical difficulty. Happy New Year. All right. Sorry, we had a visitor. So number 12, let's start. What's the first thing I do? Who's you? Why? It's the only function, but it's an inside function. So that's almost always the case. All right. So then my du would be what? 5dx. Awesome. I decide if that's what I want. Do I want it to be 5dx? No, I just, because I want to have root u and then du, but I've got a problem here because I have to replace that not with du, but with 1/5 du. So from yesterday, you should have been fairly good with that kind, right? I'm now sitting there with the square root of u, and dx is 1/5 of du. Can I do the ellipses on this one? You'd be good to go from here, right? All right, go try one of these kind on your own, and let's bump it up to maybe a little bit of a medium one from yesterday. So still yesterday's stuff, but let's go do 16. Actually, I'm not going to have you do it on your own because it makes big gaps in my recording. So do you mind? Can we just go through it together? All right, so let's go take a look at 16. This lends itself only to u sub because there's no way it doesn't, I can't distribute, I can't FOIL, it doesn't make a heart, I'm stuck. So again, I'm going to go through and let u be my inside function. Sometimes it's helpful if you get a little confused to, while you go, replace these. I'm now sitting there with a root u down on the bottom. Actually, it's a cubed root of u, and then I have x dx. So this thing needs to get replaced. So sometimes that's helpful over there. Usually over here I have a couple people who have what I call a u sub issue, and when they come in for help, I make them write that, and that usually fixes it. I say, you're just going to have to write it as you create it. So over here, when I do the du equals 4x dx, if you were one of those people who before the test is like, I still need help on u sub, I would ask you right now, is this what you want up there? And you would tell me, no, I didn't circle 4x dx. So you see what so that's helpful, but you don't have to write it. X dx would be replaced with a 4th du. So what I'm sitting there now, if I were to go cross this guy off, I'm now sitting there with 1/4 du. Once you get it replaced, you get to rewrite it. So I do 1/4 integral, right? Cubed root of u down here. And then it depends on, your teacher, your book. A lot of books write the du up on top here, so you might see that on some of our worksheets throughout the year. I just prefer to have it off on the side for what we're going to be doing later. So I like to just keep it over there. So what do I put on the top of my fraction? I put a 1. Yeah, I've got a little blob there. All right, from here I would do 1/4 and know that I'm integrating u to the negative 1/3 du, and then let me pick on, let's say, Riley number 2. Where would you go from here? We'll take one of them on out to the end. Yes, add 1 disguised as 3/3, right? So that's going to give me u to the 2/3 times what? 3 over 2, and then the minute we're done integrating, as soon as this guy gets dropped, yep, Carl comes in. Awesome. Then I'll clean it up, right, Gil? So I've got 3/8. What will I do with the u? Replace it. What was my original u again? 2x squared minus what? Okay, I lost it in the scrolling. To the 2/3 plus c. And then just a quick recap, because we've had a lot of people absent for a long time who haven't been here. So when I ask you how you could check it, what would your answer be? Take the derivative, and you'll get the original integrand right back. All right, so I'm pretty confident we don't need to do all those. The only one I want to start, there's one on your worksheet, like number 18, and it looks scary, but if you follow procedure, it falls out super nice. So don't let one, don't go, this is a mess. It's actually not. Follow procedure. U is the inside function, which is clearly this quadratic, right? It doesn't look like it's going to work, but, Liam, what's du? 2x plus 4 doesn't look like what I need, but it actually is, correct? Are you seeing it? Yeah, what is it, Shelby? Yeah, it's really twice what I need. It's just looks a little different than yesterday's, so I'd still need to replace that x plus 2 dx with 1/2 du. Are you okay with that? Can I just ellipse that one too? There. And we'd continue. So nothing new there. Now I'll introduce one of the two new things. First one being, what do you do when you have the trig stuff? You still follow procedure. You just need to make sure you know your trig antiderivatives. God dang it. So I'm on a leash if you're listening to this. I have this stupid headset plugged into my stupid Chromebook. It's a stupid thing went charge. All right. Let's go back up to number 1. Follow procedure. Who is the inside function? It's a good question. I'm going to wait till you answer. Who is the inside function? Okay, so if you're listening to this video, I'm hearing a whole bunch of mumbo jumbo that's different. So I heard sine. I wasn't looking, so I have no clue who said what. But I heard some say sine. Some said sine x to the 4th. I heard an x to the 4th. I was hearing lots of different stuff. Sine is not an inside function. It's not in anything. If it was under a root, it would be, right? Or if it was cubed, I could say it's an inside function, but it is totally not. What's the only function that's inside another function? X to the 4th. That's my U choice. So be careful with that. Sometimes you have to play a little bit. So I'm going to slow down now because this is new. I'm still going to follow procedures. Sometimes I like to kind of write it as I create it. I've actually got that and then a little bit of a disaster with the mix of variables going. So I'll still do what we did yesterday. Take the derivative of u with respect to x. Du dx is 4x cubed. So du is 4x cubed dx. I'm going to ask you what I asked you yesterday. Is this what I want, or do I need a fraction correction? It's exactly what I want. This is actually the antiderivative of the sine of u with respect to u. Do you get what I'm doing here? Then for these, I would keep this guy rolling on top of your worksheet or on top of your test when we take one, because within every problem, you're going to be taking derivatives sometimes and integrals sometimes. So make sure you don't make an error. If I say what's the antiderivative of sine, you're going to go this way. If it's what is du, if sine is u, then I go that way. So be careful. What is the antiderivative of sine? That negative cosine, and then of u. Now I introduce Carl, right? And then I follow procedure. Once I got here yesterday, what did I do? I back subbed. Yep, exactly, Hannah. So I back sub my u choice in. If it's the worksheet today, I'd log on to Schoology and check the answer because I have all the answers on there. I don't have the work, but I have the answers. But if you're on a test, obviously you can't come and check it with my key. How could you check your answer? Let's try it. What is, again, constant multiple rule, the negative just stays out front. What is the derivative of cosine? Negative sine, so it becomes a positive. Sine x to the 4th times the derivative of the guts, which is 4x cubed, right? And Kyle goes to 0. So I know I got that one right. It's kind of cool. All right. Same deal with number 2. I'm going to ask you the same question. Who's the inside function? Cosine x. The inside function is cosine. Let's suppose, though, I'm going to go with, because this is new, and you're going to have some options. Don't write this. You okay with that? Don't write. Suppose Brad says u is x, and then he goes du is dx. If he goes up here, he would have written cosine cubed u, and then du here, and then a sine x. Agreed? And he's stuck. So when you get stuck, it means your u choice is wrong, right? So suppose Riley T, you do it right. Because even a blind squirrel finds a nut. Just kidding. I'm teasing you. I told Carter I won't pick on him anymore, so you're the new Carter. Oh, do you? Oh, yeah, you're a glutton for punishment. So suppose Riley says, I'm going to let my u be the true inside function here, cosine. Are you all right with that, Riley? And maybe he takes me up on my advice when you're first starting something new to show everything. And he goes up here and he says, you know what I've got here? I've got a u cubed and a sine x dx. Right? Are you good with that, Elizabeth? So then I do the derivative of u. What's the derivative of cosine? The derivative. Yeah, I'm going this way. So it'd be negative sine x dx. Riley would feel really good about his u choice because his du is almost exactly what he needs, right? What's the only thing I need to do to fix it? Yeah, a negative correction. I wouldn't call it like a fraction, but I would just go like this. And so I'm going to just stop for a second because my back's to you and I've got this stupid cord and I like to walk around and I can't. I'm feeling very confined. Anyway, baby doesn't like to be on a leash. Anyway, oh God. I got to cover this. I should never record fifth hour, just so you know. They can't hear me unplugging the mouthpiece. This is the worst choice. I get way too squirrely. All right, anyway. All right, back. So I actually have, right, the u cubed on the bottom. The whole rest of it is negative du. So I write it here. I put my du here, and I put my 1 there. What do you think, Claire? Are you good? All right. So I'm actually integrating u to the negative 3rd du. Ashley, what's the antiderivative of u to the negative 3rd? Yes. 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 And my plus Kyle. Awesome. Then I'll clean it up, right? My 2 negatives make a positive. My u has to go in the basement. And actually, the procedure is the same. It's just watch out for your trig. There's a little bit more wiggle room for the who's u. And then I would back sub. And I forgot who my u choice was, so I'm just going to leave cosine. So you'd go put, oh, actually, that deserves a little note. Make sure you don't write that, because you would get what's called either a presentation or a linkage error deduction. Do you see what I wrote? If you're in the back of the room, let me pop this up. What's wrong with it? Yeah, you either need to go like that or you need to embed your 2 in here. All right, we're going to move to a couple other trig ones, okay, before we go to level 5. We're going to go look at number 8. I would actually like to give you guys time to do number 8. So you just go ahead. And if you're doing the video, I would do that too. I'm just going to pause here until they're. And all right, I see a lot of you done. I only walked down those 2 rows, but I think everybody had the correct u choice, so that's awesome. It's your choice because it's the only inside function. If there's 2 of them, we have to make a decision, and I'll do one in a little bit. So this would just be u to the 4th over 4, right? Plus Kyle. Who goes back in for u? Sine. How many of you had that one right in full? I know we are good down these 2 rows. Awesome. Then I'm going to keep moving. So we're not going to do number 7. See, if I get a good vibe, we get more homework time. We are going to go to the trig ones, I think, on the bottom of them. There should be 2 more. One with like a tangent and a secant. Am I close? 9 and 10, thank you. I got to go back a page. They're not very well ordered. I wonder who made this packet all random. That would be me. All right, so look at number 9, and then we'll talk about 10. If I, again, follow procedure, who is the inside function? 10x. That's your u choice. So u equals 10x, no other option. I'm now sitting here at tangent u, secant u, dx. So my derivative would be 10 with respect to x. So let's see if you're kind of getting with the flow of it. What will I replace the dx with, Butterball? What will I replace this guy with? So right here is where it is. What do I get to replace it with? What did he say? I can't hear him. 1/10 du? Yes, I just couldn't hear you. That's why I was. I have headphones on. Jeez. All right. So this would be 1/10 du. So watch me rewrite it. Are you ready, Carter? Tan u, secant u, 1/10 du. You're actually done. You ought to know that one, right? Brad, the derivative of what is tangent secant? Yes, and you can't look. So if you're like paging back, that's okay until we get to the test, but that's got to get in your memory because this one is one I put an M by. All right, so that would be secant u with a 1/10 in front of it plus Kyle, and then we back sub our u choice. Who's our u choice again? 10x. So you'll put a 10x in there. Now, last trig one before we go to level 5 here. When you're following procedure on this one, it's a little trickier, right, Mr. Gill? Because if I asked you who's the inside function, what could you tell me? Either one. Sometimes both are good. Sometimes only one choice leads you on the correct path. You really don't know till you start. So I always just try the first one. And if I succeed, I don't try the next one. If I try the first one and it goes haywire, then guess what I do? Try the next one. On your worksheet, there's one of them where there's a choice between two, and you're just going to have to, you know, kind of randomly choose door 1 here. I will let u equal tangent x. You might, bless you, honey. You might even want to go like that. I'm now sitting there with u squared secant squared x dx. So then I follow procedure. I take the derivative. What's the derivative of tangent? Secant squared, exactly. And then I look and I see, is that what I want? Yes. So this was a success. If that wasn't what I want, then I try the other one. So there's a little bit of a learning curve with who's the u when they're tied. It's one of them, and there's only 2 possibilities, so you might waste some time trying one of them. This is actually super easy, correct? This is u squared what? du. Look at how nice that's the whole point behind u sub, is it takes something that looks icky and it makes it nice. And that I'm just going to dot, 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 because you ought to be able to go with that. Are we good with the trig? I'm feeling it. Yes. All right, next up, the beast. So we are going to go back to number 3 and 4. Then I'm going to have you try 5. About a third to a half of you will be able to do it. The other 2/3 to a half are going to bail, and I'm totally fine with that. When I say level 5, it means I'm 100% sure it's not on the A-B test. B-C, that might be fair game. Sometimes they get a little harder ones. It means I won't put it on my test, or if I do, I make it bonus, right? But there's 2 of them on your worksheet, and I get enough people who understand. If you were taking this at the U of M, you definitely do these. So we're going to do them. I'm just going to tell you College Board doesn't throw them on their test. So we're going to start as we normally would. I'm going to go a little slower now. I'm going to let u equal the inside function. What is it? X minus 4. I'm now pretty much stuck. So watch. I'm now sitting there. I'm going to do the rewrite so you can see it. I've got x plus 2 root u dx. So it kind of looks like a mess. And when I do my du, I don't get all the rest of it or a multiple of all the rest of it. I just get 1 dx. When I do the du, I'm going to go up here, cross that off. I just get dx. So what's my problem up there? Yeah, well, what's the problem, first of all? You're trying to solve the problem. I just want the x plus 2, right? I'm stuck. I can't mix my x's with my u's. So what you need to do is go back to this one and write x in terms of u. I can say that x is actually equal to what? U plus 4. So I will. Now watch when I go put it, like I'm going to point at this right here is u plus 4. Everybody okay with that move? If not, this isn't super high stakes here. When I go rewrite my integrand, I'd have my u plus 4 plus 2. You with me? I have a u plus 6 in here. I have a root u, and I have a du. Is it all about u now? Yes, this could have been on your 4.1 assignment with x's. Do you remember what you would have had to do so you could get those monomials that you could integrate? Distribute. We still will. So we're still going to go like this. We're going to go like that. You with me, Elizabeth? I'm slowing down. Right, I always do when I hit level 5 because I just got to let it process. U times root u would be u to the 3 halves when I distribute, and then plus 6u to the 1 half. I'm following procedure. I just had to make this little move right here to keep going with the asterisk by it. All right, Brad, what's the antiderivative of u? Well, I've already picked on you today. And Butterbean. Harry, what's the antiderivative of u to the 3 halves? Yep. Excellent. Perfect. By the way, if you have a fraction issue, just add again like that. So you don't want to make an arithmetic mistake in this realm. I mean, that's the least of your worries here. You're doing high-powered U sub. You don't want to add fractions wrong. The next one would be, well, let's see, 6u to the 3 halves. I always leave a gap for my, boom. How are we doing, Kelly? You got it? And then plus Kyle. All right, my final answer. So Tyler, what do I need to do to write my final answer? Yep, so she's seen that would become a 4. And then what else am I going to do? It's almost done. I actually have to get that out of there. Who was my u? There we go. So it'd be 2/5 of, excellent, x minus 4 to the 5 halves plus 4 times x minus 4 to the 3 halves plus Carl. What do you think of that one? Would you be able to do one, Savannah, you think, like that? All right, we're going to do one more together, and then I'm going to talk to, oh, dang it. I have a hard time getting over here as I'm joking. Calm down. All right, let's go do the next one. So I'm going to proceed as usual. You guys only know U sub, right? So you know it has to be U sub. Otherwise, I couldn't test you on it. I'm going to tell you I gave your next one, number 5, to BC, and I thought half of them would get it right. Only 4 did. Because they have now 7 other integration techniques, and they know to try U sub, but they thought it failed. So who's you? This is what BC would do because they have a hierarchy. They always go with U sub first, and in their head they go like this, and they take DU, and what do they get? 1 dx, and so they go, oh, it's not U sub because it's not the usual U sub. That's what they did. So they were trying these other like by parts, and they were doing all kinds of weird stuff. 4 of them actually took it along the right route. So you guys actually, because you're right in it, are gonna, I think half of you will get the next one. So take a look at what I've got here. I've actually got on the top x minus 5 still. The bottom's root u, and the dx is du. So I want you to figure out what you're going to replace that top of the fraction with, and then we can move on. It needs to be all about you. Mike, you haven't picked on you yet. Do you know what the top of the fraction is going to be in terms of u? Yes, and how is he getting, if you're looking at it going, where is he pulling that from? It's okay, all right? But where are you pulling that from? Yes, he's going right here and he's saying, well, I can get x in terms of u. And then how come you said u plus 1? Yeah, he's going like that, u plus 1. Now you follow procedure. This could have been on 4, 1. It would have been all x's. And what would I have told you to do right here? Do you remember? It's a heart. Yeah, you'll break it apart. You're going to make it u over root u plus 1 over root u. Exactly, Hannah. And I proceed as usual, right? Be very careful, by the way. If I had to make a wish list for what I wish kids come to me really good at, the unit circle would be on my wish list. Working with fractional exponents would be on my wish list. Knowing immediately what this is would be awesome. What is it? U to the 1/2. I often get u to the negative 1/2. Remember, you subtract exponent, so it's 1 minus a half. So, but I like that's a common mistake that you guys have been having with your exponents. So I'm like that. Are you good with what I did? Would you be able to take it from there? Yep. When I'm done, I would put my u back in. So I'm going to have you go take a look and try number 5. If you can't do it, that's just fine. It's much more involved than the other two. I would call this a level 5 plus. And I told you only 4 BC kids were able to do this one. I had them put it on the back of something today. I was running an experiment. Actually, your sister got it, Liam. Annika got it. Rand got it. Eli Smith. And one other. Maybe it was only 3 of the buggers. Can't remember. Let's see if we can get half of you guys. I'm going to